Good morning to all. So, a long days we met again to discuss our new chapter, reaching the age of adolescence. You know, children, now you are facing the age of adolescence. Now the period you are facing that. So actually what is adolescence? You know, it is an inevitable one's life of human beings. Because we are passing many stages. It is one of the stages in our lives, in one's life. Okay, so what is the definition? You know, the adolescence. You know, children, we are growing. Growing up is a natural process. We are growing up is a natural process. You know that it well. Because, I already told you know that we are facing many stages in one's life. Now your stage, the stage at which you would see the changes now. You know, you notice that it is one of the noticeable features. The changes, it is the features in your, now you are facing that. Okay, so we called that you are at the period of adolescence. But now, what is adolescence? What definition do you give for adolescence? You know that growing up is a natural process, the period at which our body undergoes many changes, several changes that are happening now. So this stage or this period is called as adolescence period. And also we are capable of reproduction. That means during this period leading to us to reach a max, that is a maturity level. So we are at the level of maturity and also we are capable of reproduction. But actually what is the meaning of adolescence? Adolescence, it is the period at which our body undergoes many changes leading to the sexual maturity. That is a good definition for adolescence. Then children, another question for you. When it will start? It begins around the age of 11 and till to the age of 18 or 19 years. Do you understand? Okay. Then this stage is otherwise known as teenagers. Now we can say that you are under teenagers. Okay. Then you know what is the remarkable ones during this period? Do you notice that? Have you seen ever what are the changes? The changes in our body, many changes. Physical changes as well as chemical changes are there. That I will discuss. So, the changes of chemical changes. Then you know what are the physical changes? It is one of the noticeable one. Okay. So, this period at these changes start, the begins, that is the marks. This marks is the onset of puberty. But now you heard one word, what is puberty? Puberty, it is also, this changes, the bodily changes, marks the onset of puberty. It starts at 9 years old. Okay, that is the onset of puberty, that is the starting time of adolescence. So what is the most important changes at puberty? You know that we are capable of reproduction. Could you understand? Okay. Now we have studied adolescence and puberty. What are the differences between? Okay. Yes. Then the changes. Next topic is that the changes at puberty. What are the changes? Okay. The first change is that increase in height. You can write that. Increase in height. Increase in height. What is the first stage during adolescence? Adolescence facing many changes. One of the change is that increase in height. There is a sudden increase in height. That that means you can see that there are differences. It is different. The changes are different from person to person. You know that. Especially boys and girls are the two genders. You know that. We could see the differences among boys and girls. So separate changes are in boys and girls. In some cases, in some changes only. Okay, so increase in height, there are separate changes in boys and girls. There is a sudden increase in height. Sudden increase in height. You know, the adolescents, they have bones, long bones. What do you mean long bones? You know that the bones of the arms and legs becomes elongate. They are elongate and make a person tall. Make a person tall. You could see that the adolescents compared to their body and body parts. So body parts are disproportionate. They are out of proportionate compared to the body, and also sometimes it is oversized. Later it becomes normal. Gradually it becomes the normal. It proportionate to our body. Are you clear? Okay. And also you know that you see that some of the family members, they are similar to their family. The parents' height, in their height they are similar. You know the reason is that, so height is a trait. Height is a trait. It is one of the contribution by father or mother. That means it is genetically transmitted to the offspring. Okay, but don't worry. So the case that is an increase in height, there is a sudden increase in height. That is, the height is different in girls and boys. We can see common the changes that they possess. That is, the adolescents who possess what long arms. There, the bones of their legs and arms becomes long and make a person tall. Gradually, it becomes normal. That is proportionate to our body. Okay, are you clear? That is the first changes. Then second changes is that, changes in body shape. Changes in body shape. You could see the difference in boys and girls in these changes. How? In boys, they have their shoulder, broad shoulder they have, that is they possess broader shoulders and wider chest. But in the case of the females, that is in the girls, they have wider chest, waist regions. They have no wider chest, but they possess waist region is wider waist regions. Their hip regions becomes wide. Yes, if changes in body shape, there is a changes in physical changes. Physical appearance is changed. And also the muscles in boys, they grow prominently than in girls. These are the two differences. Okay? Okay, could you understand? There are two changes. That is, now we have studied two changes. One is increase in height and second is changes in body shape. Then the third shape that changes, that is the voice change. Voice change. How is this possible? Adolescents at this period, our voice box is otherwise known as larynx. It is growing up. It is growing. Due to this growth, in the case of the boys, they have a protruding part, a projection part in the throat. This is called as Adam's apple. Adam's apple. What is Adam's apple? What is Adam's apple? Adam's apple, it is the protruding part of the boy's back. It is clearly seen in the boys. This protruding part in the throat is called as, it is somewhat elongated in boys, but it is hardly visible in girls. Why? Because it is not projected, it is protruding. Because voice box is growing up and it is elongated in the boys than in girls. So girls possess they have a high-pitched voice. They have a high-pitched voice. But in the case of the boys, they have a deeper voice. They have a deeper voice, and sometimes their voice become hoarse, H-O-A-R-S-E, hoarse. That means a rough sound. But later it becomes normal. It stays or it remains within a few days or month, and later it becomes normal. Okay, well, now we have studied what is Adam's apple. So it's very important. Adam's apple, it is the protruding part of larynx or voice box in the throat of the voice. That is called as Adam's apple. Okay. Due to this, it elongates and it is growing. That is why they have a what type of sound? A hoarse sound, very deep sound they have, a rough sound they are producing. So then it becomes normal. Later, it gradually becomes normal. Okay, the next, that is the fourth change, that is increased sweat and sebaceous gland. Of sebaceous glands. What do you mean here? Increased sweat and sebaceous glands. Changes are happening in our glands. So in our body, many glands are there. Many glands are there. Which are the glands? There are exocrine glands and endocrine glands. So endocrine glands are associated with inside of our body, and they are producing their secretions. These secretions have no special duct. They are released into the bloodstream. They are released into the bloodstream directly. They have no duct. Such type of glands are called as endocrine glands. It's very important. Why the endocrine glands are called as ductless glands, because they have no specific duct to release their secretions, but their secretions are released directly into the blood. Blood streams carry out these to their functioning areas. Okay, are you clear? Yes. So, while the second gland is called as exocrine glands. Well, what is the differences of exocrine glands and endocrine glands? Endocrine glands have ducts, but exocrine glands have ducts. Endocrine glands have no duct. Okay? Yes, endocrine glands have no duct. They are called as ductless glands. But exocrine glands have ducts. Their secretions are released into the duct, and the duct is carried to their functioning areas. Okay? Yes, that is type of glands are called as exocrine glands. For example, sebaceous glands and Secchi glands are exocrine glands. They are not endocrine glands. Are you clear? Okay. So, these glands, that means sweat and sebaceous glands. What is sweat? The Malayalam word is here. So, one of the excretory products in our body. Then sebaceous glands, it is that oils are produced. When you touch your face, you can feel that oils are produced on your face. So, during this period, that is the period of adolescence, they have, more sweat and sebum. Sebum, we can say oils is otherwise known as sebum. But they have increased activity of sebum and sweat. And sometimes, in girls, pimples and acne are produced on their face. This is due to these are the changes in hormones. Are you clear? But here, the increased activity of sweat and sebaceous glands during this period, adolescence have. Okay? Yes. The next, next is the fourth and fifth one. The fifth one is that development of sex organs. Development of sex organs. Actually, we have studied that the most important or conspicuous change is that we are reaching at the level of sexual maturity, capable of reproduction. So during this period in males, they have testes. We have studied in the previous lesson male reproductive system and female reproductive system. Could you read, children? Okay, anyway, you have no problem, you can study easily. So then testes are pair of organs, male reproductive organs. They produce sperm. Sperms are the male gametes. Okay? Yes. So here, the hormones, that is by the influence of the hormones, they releases sperms. These are completely developed or fully developed during this period. Okay, then in girls, we know that they are well developed ovaries released eggs in every month. One egg is released by the ovaries in every month by the influence of hormones. Now we can say that, we could say that we are capable of reproduction. For development of sex organs is one of the important changes during adolescence. Okay. Next is reaching mental, intellectual and emotional maturity. The last and the final. Take a pen and write all the characteristic changes in adolescence. Then the last is, reaching mental, intellectual and emotional maturity. So during adolescence, adolescence changes during adolescence. It is a period, here, the period of change in a person's way of thinking. Adolescents they are independent and self-conscious. They are self-conscious. Then intellectual development takes place and they tend to spend considerable time of thinking. These are the changes happening that in the reaching mental, intellectual and emotional changes. During this time, brain has the greatest capacity of learning. Because mostly, we have considerable time of thinking. And then we can score, we can study more in this time. But one of the negative character, the change is that due adolescents, they feel insecure to adjust these changes in the body and mind. Actually, we don't know the reasons for that. They feel insecure always. They are thinking mostly considerable time of thinking. And also remember, during this period we can earn more. Greatest capacity, the brain has the greatest capacity of learning. Okay, these are the most important changes in adolescence. How many changes? There are 6 changes. Okay. Take a pen and write all the changes, and also you make it in a tabular column. You have to use a tabular column to study. Then only you have to study very easy. So and also in some changes there are separate changes in boys and girls. You do also noted that. But here you write it in boys and in girls, and what are the changes? The separate changes is here. Okay. The next topic is secondary sexual characteristics. That is secondary sexual characters. Secondary sexual characters. During this period, adolescence period, their sex organs are well developed. Complete development of sex organs take place in this period. You know, that is the primary one. So secondary sexual characters, in addition to these sex organs, indicate in boys they have mustache and beard and chest hairs they have, you know, yes. But in the case of in girls, you know, it's common for both boys and girls, but I will say you, they have a breast development, you know, yes. Then, and hairs also start to grow in different parts, in private parts of your body. That is armpit hair, hairs under arms, and pubic hairs, that is hairs in thyroid, etc. You just read that is given in your textbook. So, what is the definition do you give for secondary sexual characters? You know, some of the features, it's a definition, some of the features that distinguish the males and females. Males and females. Males from females or females from males. There are some of the features, some of the characters. So they are called as secondary sexual characters. Okay? Yes. So what is secondary sexual characters? You just read, you can understand that. Then you know, adolescence, during adolescence period, I told you earlier at the beginning, that is physical and chemical changes. So chemical changes is always associated with hormones. You know what are hormones? Hormones are chemical substances. It's very important. What are hormones? Hormones are chemical substances. They are produced from the glands. The glands secretes, their secretions are called as what? Hormones. Hormones are chemical substances. Then what are the specialities of hormones? Hormones are produced from the gland. That means in one place. But their function is created in another area, in another place. This area, functioning area, we call it as target site. We call it as a target site. So here is a question for you. What is target site? You know, hormones are produced in one place, then their function is on another place. They are called as target base. Now we can say that hormones have target site. Okay? Yes. What are hormones? Hormones are chemical substances. During this period, what are the hormones are released by male and females? In males, the hormones are called as testosterone. In females, the hormone is called as estrogen. Hormone is called as estrogen hormones. By the influence of these hormones, they produces, the testes consisting of these hormones, they produces male gametes, that is sperms, and the female gametes is called as eggs or ovum. Okay? They are produced. What is the need of these two hormones? By the influence of these two hormones, they are produced what? Yes, the gametes. Male gametes and female gametes by estrogen hormones. Are you clear? Okay. So the next, somewhat endocrine glands. Already I explained about endocrine glands. Endocrine glands are called as ductless glands because they have no specialized duct. Their secretions are released into the bloodstream directly and the blood transport to their target tissues. You can say that. So, many of the endocrine glands we are going to study about. One is pituitary gland. Which are they? Pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. Then thyroid gland. Then adrenal gland. Pancreas. So these are the hormones you have to study among endocrine glands. Many hormones are there, you know. So what are these hormones? You know, pituitary gland is called as master glands. What will be the reasons for that? That I will explain. Okay, thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is one of the endocrine glands. Its hormone is called as thyroxine. Thyroxine is the hormone. It is released by the thyroid gland. The production of thyroxine, iodine is essential. Iodine is rich in marine creatures. So what the production? The hormone is known as thyroxine. It is released by the thyroid gland. It is the endocrine gland. Thyroxine. So for production of thyroxine, iodine is essential. Iodine is essential. In deficiency of iodine leads to the less production of thyroxine. It results a disease called as goiter. The disease is called as goiter. Okay, thyroid gland, it is the largest endocrine gland in our body. This thyroxine is very useful, especially in frog. We have studied metamorphosis in the previous lesson. What is metamorphosis? So in metamorphosis, the tadpole changes into adult by the influence of this hormone is called as thyroxine. Which hormone is necessary for the transformation of tadpole into adult frog? That is thyroxine. Then associated with this hormone in insects, they are also metamorphized. So for this they are called as, they have thyroxine hormone. This hormone is otherwise known as insect hormone. Actually thyroxine is essential one, not only for us but also some other living beings. Those organisms are metamorphized. Okay, that it is we are saying in different names, named as different. Okay, yes. The next, adrenal gland. Here is adrenal gland. See that. It is above the kidney. It is a cap-like. In the kidney, a cap-like structure. There is above the kidney, there is a cap-like structure here associated with the adrenal gland. This gland releases the hormone is called as adrenaline. The hormone is called as adrenaline. Adrenaline is the hormone. It is released by the adrenal gland. Where it is located? It is located in the kidney, above the kidney. And also, then this hormone is called as emergency hormones. But now we can say this gland is called as emergency gland because it helps to adjust emergency situations. It helps to adjust emergency situations for us. When you see a snake, you scare away. Somewhat changes that is happening in your body. Then after some time we get normal. How we can overcome this situation? That due to the activities or release of these hormones, they are called as adrenaline. Now adrenaline is called as what? Emergency hormone. Would you understand? Okay. The next is pancreas. About pancreas. Pancreas releasing a hormone is called as insulin. Which is the hormone is released by pancreas? That is called as insulin. What is the function of this insulin? It regulates or controls the sugar level. Children, about pancreas, we are discussing about pancreas. Pancreas, it is one of the digestive gland. It acts as a digestive gland and always at the same time, it secretes hormones. It is a dual functioning gland. You can say that it is a dual functioning gland. Pancreas, it is one of the endocrine gland also. It secretes hormones as well. You know, its hormone is called as insulin. Insulin is the hormone released by the pancreas. What is the main function of the insulin in our body? It regulates our blood sugar level. Blood sugar regulation of sugar level in our blood is by our influence of this hormone. By the secretion, pancreas secretes this hormone that is called as insulin. You don't forget, it's very important in our body. It regulates our sugar level, blood sugar level. Then, you know, the deficiency of insulin. If the insulin is not produced sufficient quantities, what happens to our body? It will lead to a disease. The disease is known as sugar. That is sugar patients. We are saying that the person, they are suffering sugar. The reason is that this is the inefficient quantities of the secretion of insulin in our body. So diabetes mellitus, that is the correct name, technical name, diabetic mellitus. Mellitus, that is a sugar. It is also by the reduction of insulin in our body. So before I told you, about pituitary gland. Pituitary gland is called as master gland. Master gland. Pituitary gland is called as a master gland. What is the reason for that master gland? We have studied some of the glands. They are releasing hormones, especially endocrine glands, releasing hormones, testosterone hormones by testes and ovaries. That is estrogen hormones by ovaries for the production of ovum or egg. Then the pancreas, then insulin, it is released in insulin, then adrenaline hormones, and many of the hormones and their stimulations, that is their secretions, are controlled or regulated. It is maintained by pituitary. That is why pituitary gland is called as master gland. That is why pituitary gland is called as a master gland. What the pituitary is doing at the onset of puberty, you know that? Yes, that is hormones released from pituitary. Hormones from pituitary stimulate testes and ovaries to the production, that is testosterone, to release testosterone and to release estrogen hormones. These are endocrine glands, that is they have no duct. That is why their secretions are released into the bloodstream directly and to their carotid sites. Then stimulate changes in the body at the onset of puberty. Could you understand? It's very important. The onset of puberty is controlled by hormones. That is the question. How? Why? These are the questions. Okay? The answer is that. So that is why pituitary gland is called as a master gland. You know the reason? Could you understand? Okay. Then, so pituitary glands itself secretes the hormones in our body. So its hormone is called as growth hormones. Growth hormones. What are growth hormones? These hormones it's very influencing our body. It influences, and that means it regulates our growth. It is released by the pituitary itself, growth hormones. That is why we are growing in a natural ways. Okay? It is not become excess and it is not become less. If there lack of growth hormone, it causes diseases to us. If it is excess in our body, it also causes diseases to us. That you will study in time to study. Okay, so that's all about endocrine glands. You have to study. The next topic, reproductive phase of life in human. Reproductive phase of life in humans. What are the phases in females? They are suffering their life. So at the time of puberty, this time during this adolescence period, especially in girls, hormones are well developed. Estrogen, they are influencing to produce the ova. In each and every month, once in 28 days or 30 days, every month they are released one egg. If the egg is not fertilized, because this egg is released by the ovaries and it is ready to what means fertilized with the sperm by the male gametes produced by the testes, then our body is almost prepared to receive or to mate with the male and females. If they are male and female gametes are fused, there is fertilization takes place. If fertilization does not take place, in each and every month of that is about 28 days or 13 days, there is a bleeding. They start to bleed. So this is called as menstruation. Then this beginning of the menstruation at the time of puberty is called as menarche. There are two stages, that is called as menarche stage. Then it stops at the age of till to the age of 45 to 15 years. So this stage is called as menopause. What is menarche and what is menopause? Distinguish between menopause is the starting of a menstruation of a female is called as in the life of a female is called as menarche, while the menopause is the stoppage of menstruations at the age of 45 to 50. Okay, so that is called as menstruation. So about menopause. The next, how is the sex of the baby determined? Sex of the baby is determined. So children, we have studied in earlier this year, that is, where are chromosomes? Chromosomes could be seen in the nucleus. They can be seen in the nucleus. The chromosomes consisting of the functional segment that is called as DNA. This DNA transmit, they are called as hereditary units. They transmit genetical characters from their parents to the offsprings. So here, we have studied in human beings there are 23 pairs of chromosomes. Out of 23 pairs, 22 pairs are body chromosomes and 1 pairs are called as sex chromosome. In male, the chromosomes are called X and Y. There are different chromosomes are there, X and Y. But in the case of the females, there are X, same type of chromosomes. That is, so at the time of fertilization, if the X is closed, one of the X of the male is closed with the one of the X of the female, so it may be born with a girl child. Then the Y of the male is closed with the one of the X of the female, it may be a boy. How we determine how we are determining the sex of the child. The sex of the child is determined by the chromosomes of the father, not by the mother. So don't accuse the females, because they are only the carriers, and of the father that determines what the sex of the child. Are you clear? Yes. But it's very important how we determine the sex of the child. It's very easy, and to draw the schematic diagram also. X, Y, these are called as the chromosomes. They are allosomes. We call it as allosomes. Out of 23 pairs, 1 pair of chromosomes, they are called as the sex chromosomes. This for males and this for females. These are distinguishing each male and the females. Okay, well, here is a question for you. How is the sex of the baby is determined? The next, is reproductive health. Reproductive health. What is reproductive health? Do you mean that? So, what is health? What is health? Health is a state of mental, physical and social well-being. That is the definition of health. Reproductive health. Here is a question for you. Comment on reproductive health. So during adolescence period, we are capable of reproduction. It is related to many of the nutritional needs of adolescents. How? The nutritional needs of adolescents, physical exercises and personal hygiene, etc. are related to reproductive health. You just read, you can understand that very easily. What are the needs are essential for reproductive health. Okay, the first one is nutritional needs of adolescents. What type of foods they want to eat during this period? During this period, we are growing period, that. So, in this period, many changes as well as taking place in our body, we need nutritional type of food. So, what is rich in carbohydrate, rich in proteins and vitamins, minerals, etc. So, we can say clearly that we need what a balanced diet. Balanced diet. What do you mean by balanced diet? Balanced diet means rich in carbohydrate, proteins, then fats, vitamins and minerals. They are in requisite amounts. They need adequate amount of these foods, nutritional foods. So they are called as balanced diet. The next is personal hygiene. How can we? Personal hygiene, related to personal hygiene. Personal hygiene we take 2 times daily bath. Daily bath, 2 times daily bath. And also because personal hygiene is important and as well as clean our surroundings, our environment as well. It is also related to reproductive health. The next, about the physical exercises. What do you mean by physical exercises? Adolescents do exercises such as swimming, outdoor games, play outdoor games, swimming, jumping and all walking. All exercises, it keeps our body healthy and fit. Okay, so our chapter is completed and write some questions also. That's enough. So, first question, what is adolescence period? And second question, explain the changes at puberty. Then what is the most important changes at puberty? What is the secondary sexual characters? Explain reproductive phase of life in females. How is the sex of the child is determined? Then many other questions that I have given when I have taken the class. But you check that and write questions also. And then comment on the last question, comment on reproductive health. Comment on reproductive health. That is enough and study well as usual. We are saying to you and study and prepare for your examination. Okay.